Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with the Golden Opportunities Coaching YouTube channel. Welcome to those of you who are new. Welcome back to those of you seasoned veterans of what we do around here. What we do around here is bring about conversations of a psychological, mental health, emotional health pattern. We look at that and we do that on a consistent basis. And so this is our second in the obsessive love way there. And ultimately, how are the ways that we can be in a better space? That's kind of what we're looking at in this particular audio. If you're looking for ways to kind of have healthier boundaries with love, healthier boundaries with how relationships pan out, would love to be of assistance to you in that way, make something happen for your benefit in that way. So, a couple ways to do that. You can reach out at PO Perception on Twitter and or in the About Me section of this YouTube page. Make something happen from there. In any event, what are some signs of obsessive love? The first is an emotional roller coaster. So, your quality of life is directed by how the other person feels. That is to say, when they're happy, you're happy. When they're upset, you're in damage control mode. When you're feeling neglected, it'll amplify through you, and ultimately that becomes problematic because that means your quality of life is determined by the emotional state of the people that you're involved in a relationship with. This certainly amplifies in romantic relationships, although can happen in some level of unhealthy social connectives with close friendships or inner circle friendships. The next thing is it doesn't move at a natural pace, so the relationship is rushed. The relationship is just kind of put forward in a kind of a pressure cooker, move kind of way. And so obviously there are times when you meet a person and you click instantaneously. However, the desire to protect oneself from harm whenever possible should be at least at the forefront of the nature in which you're trying to move forward. It doesn't necessarily have to be that way all the time, and there are challenges as it relates to moving forward, um, you know, in a good way. But the problem becomes um, kind of making something happen in a consistent and conductive way. The next thing there is ultimately jealousy becomes a major component of the relationship. Jealousy is an emotion that I'm sure if one really wanted to look at it from a psychological perspective, people could find a benefit to jealousy. However, there are far more detriments to jealousy than there are benefits because ultimately a person has the free will to make their own choices, has the free will to make their own connections, and to live their life in whatever way can bring the least amount of harm possible. So, jealousy is a byproduct of obsession that is ultimately hardly ever good. I'm sure there are times when jealous protection comes into play, and that can be a good thing, but for the most part, jealousy leads to miscommunication, it leads to hurt feelings, it leads to potential paranoia, and all sorts of other things that ultimately don't lead to a positive relational resolution. So, jealousy in itself can often be seen as a negative overall. The next thing is possessiveness. Possessiveness and jealousy go together. The desire to dominate a person's time, the desire to dominate a person's mind, the desire to dominate how a person sees you, all of that comes from a place of jealousy, and that ultimately is quite often not a healthy space. So, the over contacting thing, especially in your more severe or criminalistic cases, can become another problem. That is to say, a person who is insecure will need to have or feel the need to have constant contact with the person that they're involved with because the lack of trust in a person's intention is a motivating factor in how they relate to each other. It's not necessarily ultimately 100% good or 100% bad. It just is, and it creates some challenges there. The next kind of look at things is forthcoming. Would love to be of assistance to you if I can. Please feel free to reach out at PO Perception on Twitter. And until next time, keep your feet on the ground, your mind in the moment, everybody.